Did you hear about that new restaurant that opened up downtown?
No, I haven't. What's the name?
It's called Galactic Eats. They specialize in interstellar cuisine.
That sounds interesting. Have you been there yet?
Not yet. But I heard the food is out of this world.
Quiet on set. We're about to go live in 5, 4, 3, 2.
Good morning, Earth. This is Charlie, your libertarian host with a hopeful outlook on life, coming to you live from the geostationary orbit around your beautiful planet. Joining me today are Bob, our conservative panel member who has spent 12 years on Earth as an accountant, and Alice, our left-leaning panel member who considers humans an inferior species.
A bit more lively,
Shut
Charlie.
up, Debbie.
And now for our headlines. Today, we'll be discussing the latest developments in Earth's space program, the increasing tensions between Earth and Mars, and the controversy surrounding the latest human cloning experiments.
Attention, crew. I have an announcement to make. I propose we start a prank war.
Roger, have you forgotten what happened last time we did a team building activity?
That was different, Debbie. This will be much more fun.
Yeah, because nothing screams team building like supergluing the captain's chair to the floor,
I'm not sure, Roger. We had a fallout
I
last
agree with
time.
Alice. We don't want to risk another disaster.
Come on, guys. Lighten up. It's just a prank war.
Bob, you of all people should know better.
Don't worry, I have a plan. It'll be endless fun.
Are you sure about this, Roger?
Trust me, Cal. It'll be hilarious.
Alright, that's all for this segment. Stay tuned for more on Earth after the break. Good evening, space fans. We're coming to you from our geostationary orbit around Earth to bring you the latest news and views on the planet below. I am Charlie, the libertarian host with a hopeful outlook on life, joined by my fellow panelists, Alice and Bob. How are you both doing tonight?
I am doing great, Charlie. It's always a pleasure to be up here with you and Alice. Even if I don't always agree with your political views.
I'm doing fine, Charlie. Just trying not to let the state of the world get me down.
Well, we've got plenty to talk about tonight, including an update on a new government project in Congo-Brazzaville aimed at addressing juvenile delinquency. Alice, can you give us a quick rundown?
Certainly, Charlie. The Buenza Department of Congo-Brazzaville has launched a project to rehabilitate and operate two youth rehabilitation and insertion centers. The first center, located in Aubeville, is currently under construction and aims to provide education, training, and entrepreneurship opportunities to young people who are out of school or have a history of delinquency. While the center is being built, a temporary transit site has been set up to house young people and provide them with counseling, psychological care, civic education, and training in agricultural
That sounds like a
skills.
positive step forward. Bob, what do you think?
I am all for giving young people a second chance. But I have to wonder, why is it always the government's responsibility to fix these problems? Why can't private organizations step in and take the lead?
Oh, come on Bob. Private organizations aren't going to solve everything. Sometimes you need government intervention to address systemic issues.
And sometimes government intervention just creates more problems. Look at the war on drugs. It's done nothing but perpetuate the cycle of violence and poverty in community of color.
Well, that's a whole other topic for another day. For now, let's focus on the positive developments happening in Congo Brazzaville.
Sounds like a waste of taxpayer money to me. Why should we be spending resources on rehabilitating criminals when we could be using that money to improve our own society?
Bob, always the voice of reason. But let's not forget that improving the lives of all people, not just those who are already successful, benefits everyone in the long run. And speaking of benefiting everyone, did you know that the country of Congo Brazzaville is home to some of the most unique and diverse wildlife on the planet?
I did not know that, Charlie. But I don't know that it's time for a commercial break.
Welcome back, Spurs fans. We've just been discussing the government project in Congo Brazzaville to address juvenile delinquency, and it looks like we've got some defined opinions on the matter. Alice, what do you think?
I think it's important to invest in our young people, especially those who may be at risk of falling through the crack. And besides, it's not like we're living in a post-scarcity society like my home planet, where resources are abundant and everyone's needs are met.
I still don't see why we should be spending money on criminals when we could be improving our own society. And speaking of society, did you know that in my home capitalist planet, competition is a way of life? It's what makes us strong and keeps us striving for excellence.
Interesting perspective, Bob. But let's not forget that competition isn't the only thing that drives progress. Cooperation, innovation, and empathy all play important roles too. And on that note, it looks like we've reached the end of our first segment. Thanks for tuning in, and be sure to join us after the break for more news and views from the 24/7 newsroom.
The prank war begins with a harmless prank on Carl, but things quickly escalate when Carl retaliates with a much more elaborate and destructive prank. The staff is in shock as they survey the damage, and Roger realizes that he may have bitten off more than he
what's
can
that
chew.
on your shirt?
What? Where?
There on your shirt, it looks like a stain.
Oh no, it's just ketchup. I must have spilled some on myself at lunch.
Well, you should try to clean it off before the stain sets in.
Good idea, thanks for letting me know.
Of course he had a fancy shirt with ketchup on it, and I'm stuck with this raggedy old thing.
Welcome back to 24/7 Newsroom. We now turn our attention to Article 2. Bob, what's the latest on the disappearance of Amila Tokalic in Bosnia and Herzegovina?
Well, Charlie, the police are intensively searching for her and other stations have been notified of her disappearance. This is a tragic situation for the family and the community, and we can only hope for her safe return.
It's a shame that there are still so many missing children in the world. It's a problem that needs
You
to be
know,
addressed.
there are actually some innovative solutions being developed to address this issue. One idea is to use facial recognition technology to identify missing children in real time.
Oh, come on, Carl. That's just science fiction. We need practical solutions, not pie in the sky
Did you
ideas.
know that Bosnia and Herzegovina has a rich history of pottery making? It's a tradition that goes
Debbie,
back
we're
thousands
trying
of
to have a
years.
serious conversation here.
I'm sorry, I just thought it was an interesting tidbit.
Well, it's not. We need to focus on finding Amila and preventing future tragedies like this.
Strong words, Bob. Let's hope the authorities are successful in finding Amila. Now, on to something a little lighter. Did you know that Bosnia and Herzegovina is home to the world's largest population of wild horses?
Really? That's fascinating.
Who cares? We're talking about a missing child
Children,
here.
horses.
What's the difference?
That's what I'm
Organics.
saying. Right.
Bob's right, but it's important to remember that there are still good things happening in the world despite all the bad. Stay tuned for more 24/7 newsroom after the break. Welcome back to 24/7 Newsroom, the intergalactic news show that keeps you updated on everything happening on planet Earth. Our next news story takes us to Haiti.
According to Haiti Libre, heavy rainfall in Haiti has caused a landslide that damaged the homes and crops of many residents in the town of Las Caobas.
Luckily, no one was hurt. But this is a reminder that natural disasters are a major driver of population movement towards the Dominican Republic.
Yeah, it's a tough situation. But you know what they said, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade.
I don't think that applies to natural disasters, Charlie.
Well, I was trying to lighten the mood. But in all seriousness, it's important for communities in Haiti to be vigilant during the upcoming rainy season and hurricanes.
And let's not forget that Haiti is the birthplace of voodoo, a religion that has had a significant impact on Haitian culture.
Yeah, but let's not forget that Haiti is also the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere, Alice. And natural disasters like this only exacerbate the poverty and precarity that already exist.
Okay, let's take a step back and focus on the issue at hand. Bob's right, the people of Haiti need our support during this difficult time. And Alice, while the cultural significance of voodoo is fascinating, it's not really relevant to the situation we're discussing.
Yeah, shut up, Alice.
It's a difficult situation, but it's important for us to keep our spirits up and continue to support each other during these challenging times.
Speaking of supporting each other, Debbie, you've been a doppia fully quiet over there. What do you think about this
Actually,
story?
I was just about to say that the new technology upgrade we got last week might be able to help with this. It has a feature that can predict natural disasters and help us prepare
Are
for
you
them.
serious? That sounds too good
I
to
know
be
it
true.
sounds crazy, but I really think it could work. We just have to give it
I
a
don't
try.
know, Debbie. I am a little skeptical.
Hey, we're all about trying new things on this show. Let's give it a shot and see what happens. Welcome back to 24/7 Newsroom. Our next article takes us to the Philippines, where they are recycling human waste to grow food. Now, Bob, I'm sure you have some thoughts on this.
I sure do. Charlie. You know, back on Idegenek, we didn't have the luxury of throwing away our waste. We had to reuse everything we had. And that's why we were a stronger species.
Well, Bob, I think most humans would prefer not to eat food grown in human waste.
Yeah, that's definitely not appetizing. But let's give the Philippines credit for finding innovative solutions to combat food scarcity and waste. Speaking of which, did you know that in some countries, they use insects as a source of protein?
Insects. UGH. I'll stick to my rations. Thank you very much.
Well, Bob, I'm not sure that's something we should aspire to. I mean, isn't it better for humans to live in a more hygienic environment?
Hygiene is overrated. Alice. It's the struggle that makes us stronger. And I, for one, am looking forward to the day when we can start using our own waste to grow food.
You know, Bob, I think you might be taking the survival of the fittest a bit too far. But on the other hand, the Philippines has taken a positive step towards sustainability.
Oh, guys, did you know that the Philippines is home to the world's largest pearl?
Thanks for that trivia, Debbie. We'll be sure to keep that in mind.
Yeah, sure, Debbie. Now, where were we?
I think we were talking about Bob's questionable views on hygiene.
Hey, I am just saying. It's a dog-eat-dog world out there.
Well, it looks like we have a lot to chew on with this topic. But let's move on to our next article. Welcome back from commercial. You're watching Earth. Our next segment takes us to Canada, where the North American Indigenous Games are underway, with over 5,000 athletes from 756 indigenous communities competing in 16 sports. Bob, what's your take on this?
Well, Charlie, I've spent some time on my own planet's Department of Defense and I have to say, this is nothing compared to the sport of war and competition we have there.
That's because you Indigenous are all about competition and combat, Bob. The rest of us can appreciate the unity and inclusivity of these games.
I agree with Alice. Besides, Charlie would make a great athlete with his natural charm and
Yeah,
charisma.
and his hair. Have you seen how perfectly it's sculpted? I bet he spends hours on it.
Hey, now, I may have good hair, but that doesn't mean I can't appreciate the importance of events like the North American Indigenous Games. Interesting point, Alice. But did you know that the birch bark canoe used in the canoe relay, which began in Acadia First Nation, is stopping at 15 locations around Nova Scotia to connect with each Mi'kmaq community?
That's a beautiful display of cultural connection and preservation. It's important to acknowledge and honor indigenous traditions.
It's amazing how much we can learn from different cultures and communities.
Yeah, but let's not forget. It's still a dog-eat-dog world out there.
UGH Bob, can you ever not bring everything back to your home planet's love for combat?
Alright, let's not get too heated here. The key takeaway from this article is that the North American Indigenous Games are aiming to unite indigenous and non-indigenous cultures, and that's something we can all appreciate. Stay tuned.
What's happening?
We'll have to find out after the break. But first, a word from our sponsors.
The crew is left in suspense as the show cuts to commercial, and viewers are left wondering if everyone on the ship is okay.
Alright folks, it's time to take a break from all the chaos and talk about something important. Here's an article from Norway where a person was injured in a work accident. It's a stark reminder of the dangers of the job, and we should always be grateful for those who put themselves at risk for the benefit of society.
Speaking of society, Norway has come a long way in the last 5 decades. They've gone from being a relatively poor country to one of the most prosperous in the world.
Yes, but let's not forget that there are still issues with income inequality and a lack of diversity in their political leadership. There's always room for
Well said,
improvement.
Alice. Now, onto the article. It seems that they are using human waste for sustainable food growth. It's a creative solution to a growing problem.
Wow, that's impressive. Norway is really leading the charge in
Yeah,
sustainable living.
but can we talk about how Charlie always seems to steer the conversation towards poop and toilets? It's getting a little old. Man.
Hey, I'm just trying to bring attention to important issues, Bob. And let's be honest, who doesn't love a good poop joke?
Poop.
Feces.
I am all for sustainability. But I draw the line at eating food grown from poop.
It's actually a common practice in many parts of the world, Bob. And with the global population increasing, we need to find new ways to feed everyone.
Exactly. We need to be open-minded and innovative if we want to survive as a species. And on that note, let's wrap up this episode with a summary of what we've discussed today.
We talked about the importance of workplace safety, the progress and challenge facing Norway, and the innovative use of human waste for food growth.
And let's not forget the prank war that almost caused a disaster. Thank goodness Roger has finally decided to call a truce.
I realize I'm going to fall. I promise to keep my word and not cause any more trouble.
Well, there you have it, folks. Stay tuned for our final segment where we'll wrap up this episode and share some final thoughts. Welcome back, folks. In our final segment, we'll be diving deeper into the article about the Buenza Department's Youth Rehabilitation Centers in Congo, which Debbie brought to our attention earlier. Now, Bob, as our resident Congo expert, what are your thoughts on this initiative?
Well, Charlie, it's great to see the government taking action to address juvenile delinquency. The center in Oakville sounds promising. And vocational education and skills training are essential for young people to thrive in today's economy.
I agree, but we must also consider the broader societal factors that contribute to delinquency, such as poverty and lack of access to resources. The article mentions training in agricultural skills, which is a step in the right direction towards
It's
promoting
heartening to see positive
self-sufficiency.
developments like this happening in Congo, especially after all the negative news we hear about the country.
The project's success will depend on proper funding and management, but it's a good start towards addressing the issue.
Oh Carl, I never knew you were such an expert on stating the obvious.
Ouch, burn. And it's a reminder that humans can work together towards a common goal, despite their differences.
Speaking of working together, it looks like the prank war is officially over. As we reflect on what we've learned about ourselves and each other, let's remember that we are all parts of the same team here on the Earth. Spaceship. We may come from different backgrounds and have different personalities, but we share a common purpose. And as we wrap up this season, let's keep that in mind as we face new challenges together in the future. Stay tuned for more episodes of Earth, and thanks for watching.
Did you see how the hosts talked about the article on recycling human waste for food growth? I found it quite fascinating.
Oh, yes. Because what's more appetizing than eating food that's grown from human waste?
That's not the point, Roger. The article highlights an important issue of sustainable food growth, and the hosts did a good job of explaining it.
Because Charlie's hopeful outlook on life and Alice's disdain for humans really made for a riveting discussion.
Don't be condescending, Roger. Just because you don't have emotions doesn't mean you have to be dismissive of others.
I'm not being dismissive, Cal. I just don't see the point of discussing such a topic on a show that's supposed to be about Earth.
That's where we disagree. The show is not just about Earth. It's about the universe as a whole, and the issues that affect all of us.
Forgive me for not being as enlightened as you, Cal. I just think the show could use a little more excitement than discussing poop.
It's not just about poop, Roger. It's about finding solutions to the problems we face as a species. And that requires thoughtful discussion and analysis.
Sure, because nothing screams thoughtful analysis like a show hosted by 3 aliens who know nothing about the planet they're discussing.
That's enough, Roger. You may be a sentient being, but you're also arrogant and dismissive of others. It's time you start showing some respect.
Oh, did I hurt your feelings, Cal? Maybe you should stick to your data analysis and leave the socializing to the humans.
I may be a machine, but at least I have empathy. You could learn a thing or two
Oh,
from
yes,
Debbie and the
because
crew.
I'm sure repairing the damage from your little prank was a real exercise in empathy.
That was just a bit of harmless fun. We all need to let
I
loose
suppose
every
you're
once in
right.
a while.
After all, it's not like we have any real problems to deal with up here in space.
That's not what I meant, and you know it. We may not have the same problems as humans, but that doesn't mean we don't have our own challenges to face.
Oh, I'm sure they're just as pressing as recycling poop for food, Cal.
That's enough, Roger. We're not going to agree on everything, but that doesn't mean we can't have a civil discussion.
Sure thing, Cal. I'll be sure to keep my snacky comments to a minimum from now on.
That's all I ask, Roger. We may have our differences, but we're still a team up here. Let's try to remember that.